Dmitry Bivol.
What a slugger!
Born on December 18, 1990, he is known for his technical style and impressive punching power. As a light heavyweight world champion of the World Boxing Association, he has proven numerous times in
his ability to finish fights
in a forceful way.
Super light heavyweight champion.
Will everything be compared to the great stars of the past? Current GOATs like Mike Tyson, the kid from
But with a
This iron, but he will be alive. Yes, just what we
It will
need.
take time to really match forces. Who was the
Are
champion?
the youngest heavyweight in history? Stay tuned to find out. In today's video, I invite you to revisit some of their Let's relive together those ferocious attacks that have marked his career, leaving scars on the bodies and minds of his rivals. Get ready because you are about to witness some real torture scenes on Sovereign. Dmitry Bivol versus Felipe Romero. On August 28, 2015, with an extensive career consolidated over 29 professional fights, Romero showed up at the Hangar Hall located in Costa Mesa, California. There it was expected that the Aztec warrior would face one of the greatest challenges of his entire career, and thus reach an important point in his career. The vacant regional title of the World Boxing Council in the United States was up for grabs, and to get it he just needed to make sure he defeated one more opponent. Unfortunately for him, this opponent was none other than the Russian machine Dmitry Bivol. Debuting a year earlier, Bivol would barely fourth
performance.
born over a professional king. Therefore, the Aztec warrior felt confident from experience. The fight was scheduled for 8 rounds. Romero used his jab to control the distance against Bivol and weaken his power. A strategy
And it's only going to drain
Watch
you.
in the first episodes. Everything seemed to be going well when he folded it a couple of times, but he didn't know who he labeled as less experienced. He did not stop. As the episodes progressed, the balance became more equal. The even level and lantern remained between the athletes, even making people think that the winner would be decided by the judges' scorecards. But during the final round, Bivol went out to secure a decisive victory. Romero underestimated Bivol by dropping his guard at times, with the Russian being the most straightforward of the two. Although Romero began moving around the ring throwing punches to the face, his hits lacked enough force to overpower Bivol. Because of this, when the clock showed the 30-second countdown, Bivol managed to execute his final offensive combination. Bivol pushed Romero against the ropes and punished him with a series of hooks. One of them landed on his jaw, causing his immediate knockdown. In fact, the referee had no choice but to stop the fight and grant Bivol the direct victory. Dmitry Bivol versus Robert Barrett.
So much time, people! I win the interim weight title
The
in my
World Boxing
thinking of the...
Association started them on May 21st, 2016, defeating the previously undefeated Felix Barrera by unanimous decision. Do I see the domino toppling over the barrier?
didn't do
With
it
sadistic
twice.
combinations, it was an exciting fight, but his first defense was even more explosive. This was against Robert Barrett and took place on February 23, 2017. Bivol easily overcame Barrett, hitting him mercilessly for 4 rounds before a technical knockout was called. From the start of the fight, Bivol was assertive and controlled Barrett's advance, who didn't seem comfortable in the ring. In the third episode, the Russian brought out all his artillery and sent the New Zealand fighter to the moon twice.
Thank you
With
very
a dart in
the name doesn't understand.
Subtitles provided by the Amara.
Because he has it from Russians with labor stress.
By the fourth round, Bivol hit Barrett so hard that he caused a significant cut above his right eyebrow. This caused the Oceanic to start bleeding heavily. And go back to visit the donut. Given the situation, the king's judge decided to halt the lawsuit to call the commission's doctor, who recommended ending the fight.
With
The
this bloody
champion made it
victory,
clear he would mess with anyone who dared to tempt his crown.
Otherwise, I'm going to break you.
Dmitry Bivol PISSED.
This is what the fans wanna see. It was the most repeated comment on the Vox blogs.
The morning after the meeting between Dmitry Bivol and Tremblasart. It was not an exaggeration at all. After seeing how the newly crowned light heavyweight champion of the World Boxing Association knocked out his contender with a severe blow, as if it were a light switch, there was no doubt about his potential. These events happened at the Monte Carlo Casino in Monaco. In the official time, the fight was given a duration of a 3-minute round. Bivol, who was once ranked number 7 by the legendary magazine The Ring. In the light heavyweight rankings, he managed to score a takedown just after passing the mark of
minute, in spite
That
of
at first glance could be
combined
interpreted.
like a loss of balance from Rothard.
This was the first sign that his defeat was closer than anyone in the venue could anticipate.
I don't know if many believe.
When the second knockdown happened, yes, there was no doubt about the quality of the fighting style that Bivol was showing against the Ronin.
This is the product.
Right on the bell to close the opening round of the bout.
And you almost didn't make it
Out
against it.
cold.
This is the distance counter.
Bivol, who at the time had an undefeated record of 12 wins,
DSR.
all by the tough way of knockout Soltok,
Which seemed to bring her...
precision of a laser. His fist traveled straight like an arrow and landed with a sharp impact.
At the tips of Brassard's chin.
After such a clean execution,
Many analysts stated that probably
Mind Brass Hearts didn't even realize it had been bombarded.
until he found himself like this.
And right on the canvas,
On
rolled
the
over
other hand,
after the fight, Bivol gave him a praising.
Siva said that maybe...
Was that the best punch of his career? So far.
White hand back on the chair.
Dmitry Bivol versus Sullivan Barrera. Not every match can be won in the first round, and Bivol knows it. A true warrior must be able to maintain their level of pressure.
throughout all the rounds.
So Logos will turn it into a big weakness that anyone can use.
Zara against him. But in the
Fight against Sol and Barrera.
And Flight showed that this wasn't necessarily a
Trouble for him. In a closely contested
Gathering
fight.
at the legiondary Madison Square Garden in New York, Bivol retained his light heavyweight belt of the World Boxing Association after fighting for the title.
By technical knockout to the Cuban Sullivan Barrett.
The morning after this clash, the media woke up praising once again Bivol. Well, his assertive nature in the ring would have confirmed that this is the new Russian lethal weapon in the discipline. Also, Barrera was not necessarily a beginner. In fact, this and in fact, this is a Cuban fighter with a tenacious instinct for conflict who didn't give VIP an easy
flight
pass.
towards victory. He's still there.
If the Russian machine dominated most of the rounds, putting him in trouble on more than one occasion, this is inside the world.
To a great boxer like Noe's
Open
owner.
it.
Usually he gets the first round too, so that's why he wants to avoid that.
In the professional b-boy career, few have managed to face him the way the Cuban did. In hindsight, it was about where both fighters ended up cussed. But naturally, only one of them could come out victorious. From the first rounds, it was clear the fight was heading towards a decisive victory for BFOR.
his aggression, the way he cut off the ring. Besides his power, he managed to overshadow the Cuban on more than one
Who has been
occasion.
more or less playing in Montreal and apparently beating higher competition.
Still, so it wasn't until the last episode when no one expected it that the Russian pinned the Cuban.
No, and he sent him straight to the convoy.
Everyone thought it would be a judge's mistake that would determine the outcome of this match.
But alive.
They change and have other plans. Barrera tried, but it was futile.
Eat in front of them, getting up from the donut.
But standing up
It was enough
doesn't.
the referee had to confirm that the Cuban fighter was in at least minimal condition to
Continue the fight.
And it was right here where
He had the big barrier failure. Vibo hadn't broken.
But after all, the Cuban was in really bad shape and couldn't hide it. That's why the referee made the wise decision
Of Afro.
winning the contest. With this victory, Bivol was able to increase his professional record to 13 wins, 11 of them achieved by the hard way of knockout.
Let's see.
Barrera
Meanwhile,
added a negative number to his record. This was his second defeat.
what? It doesn't seem like it.
Without much contrast to his 21 victories, 14 of them were by knockout.
Do you want to see an American champion?
Dimitry Bivol versus Lenin Castillo. Eventually, another Latino threatened to steal Bible spotlight. The rivalry was already getting a bit personal, making this fighter a destroyer of Latin blood. That's when Lenin Castillo was amazed.
Announced as the next
At
challenger of...
Bivol, all eyes were on him.
Is it necessary to constitute?
Mind against an easy opponent to beat? And could that be
Come in.
of this fight? The match was scheduled to last 12 hours and 12 rounds and was held at the Rindle Windsor Arena in Chicago. Although against brothers' hearts, he was able to stop the fight before reaching the dreaded judge's decision. Why? Honda Moabi,
Due to
which
uncertainty.
usually generates. This time Bivol would not have that much luck. The fight started exciting with both fighters often measuring the strength over the king. As the rounds went by, Bebop got closer and closer to dominating the pace of the fight.
Police.
Everything was in line until they entered the 6th round, in which live knockdown.
Even though at first it seems...
Everyone thought the Dominican wouldn't return to the contest, but he rose to the challenge of his champion.
To frustrate.
After this
The
crash,
intensity of the fight suffered a huge setback, probably motivated by the fact that Castillo didn't want to risk being detained once again by FIFA's harsh crackdown. At the end of the 12 rounds, it was confirmed that the Olympic fighter in the fight games,
Beijing 2008.
he couldn't figure out the distribution strategy.
to land good hits.
Sporadically and with a takedown against him, the unanimous decision favored Bebops. His reserve performance led him to not score enough points from the 3 judges who worked on the bout. Although B-Boy couldn't stop him permanently in combat, he does carry the badge of an adversary.
Quoting the first
The
piece,
author capable of taking him down in his professional role. He will surely also be the image in some of the Dominicans' nightmares.
Let me relive
His
it.
reputation solidified as one of the most feared boxers in the heavyweight division.
thanks to his combination of
Impeccable technique and devastating power. These fights, among many others, highlight his ability to end fights decisively and his stamina to endure.
Unstoppable until the scheduled
If
end.
necessary. If you've made it this far, thank you. And remember that the best way to support my content is by leaving a like on the video. What other fight featuring B-Ball do you think is a true testament to his power in the ring?